Hello, my name is Derek Todd from Deaf Scotland. Welcome. We have a guest with us today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there, my name is Jodie Wilkinson and I work for the Glasgow Film Theatre where my role is Public Engagement Coordinator.
Thank you for joining us, Jodie. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. We've known each other for quite a long time now. I'm trying to work out how many years is that? Oh, I dread to think.
A few. I would say at least 5, if not more.
Okay. Maybe that could link into my next question. Okay. So how were you involved in the BSL British Sign Language, BSL development, the BSL and BSL National Plan or Authority Plan? How were you involved in that process?
So through my role at Glasgow Film Theatre, we run a film programme called Visible Cinema, which provides captioned or subtitled films with British Sign Language and also a speech-to-text service for the intro and for the post-film chat. So it was really important for us in the development of that programme that we were consulting and also making inroads to link with organisations like Deaf Scotland to make sure that we were keeping ourselves on the right track. And also that we're not experts of deaf culture, so we needed to kind of pull the experts in, as it were, to widen the conversation and better understand when it comes to what GFT could provide, how it was best fitting deaf people that we wanted to engage with in Glasgow and Scotland, in fact. So actually together we've run a few events as well that we linked with in terms of creating cultural deaf engagement and looking at what that looked like in Scotland at that time. I believe it was 2017, I think we ran an event, and then again in 2018. I know this is how long it's been. But essentially our involvement from the BSL Act perspective was to look at, as a venue, what were we already doing and actually what did we need to do a lot more of in terms of making sure that our venue was deaf accessible. So we have a venue welcome video, which has been really, really useful as a kind of a warm welcome to anyone that is a BSL speaker in the venue. And again, through all of our Visible Cinema communications, we've got BSL interpreted and captioned trailers. And so in that sense, and we need to do more, is really looking at how we improve all of our communications to make them deaf friendly. And again, the BSL Scotland Act and the work of Deaf Scotland have really helped educate us as well.
I know that the GFT is an organisation that I certainly went as a young boy. You know, I certainly went along, and I remember the organist. I remember the old organ and all of that, of the old building. I know it's changed. Sometimes when you go to the cinema, it's like, oh, it's actually quite moving. It's so moving because it's different from the other cinemas that you would see, mainstream cinemas. I've lost count how many times I've attended your events, the Visible Cinema events that you've organised, Jodie, where there's lots of deaf people, there's deaf artists there, and it's fantastic. It really is a fantastic venue. Okay, so now, do you remember Thursday, the 17th of September, where the bill was passed 2015? What did you think of that historic day, and what were you doing on that historic day as well?
Oof, blimey. I do remember. I remember seeing the news. I wasn't watching it live, but I remember looking at the news later that day and seeing that the bill had been passed. And yeah, it was a very proud moment, actually. I moved to Scotland many, many years ago, back in 2001. And at that point, it wasn't in any way a kind of political or bigger decision other than just a personal one. But actually, days and events like that really remind me of why I want to live in Scotland, because moments like that, to watch the kind of the group, the lobbyists, the MPs, people who have been fighting for this for so long, and just watching a moment of just pure joy, of acceptance, of visibility. That shouldn't really be happening in 2017. It should be happening far earlier than that. But to see that moment happen, it made me feel so proud to be a citizen of Scotland.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you moved to Scotland. Can I ask where from, Jodie?
Oh, I'm from a town called Tamworth, which is in the West Midlands. And a pub quiz fact, it's literally the middle of England. So it used to be the capital before London.
Wow. Wow. So now you're an adopted Scot, are you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, my granddad was Scottish. I never got to meet him in the flesh, but he was from a town called Lesmahago, part of the big farming community. And then through the years, he moved down till my mum was born in England. So yeah, it's a kind of coming back to the homeland feeling. You know, it's back to my roots.
Wow, perfect, wonderful. Okay, so now we're in 2020. So 5 years since the bill was passed.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean to you now, and what impact has it made now compared to then?
I'll be honest and say that the impact, even remembering it there with your question, Derek, about how did it feel, like I remember that feeling really strongly. And I feel that personally, that energy is still there and will always remain there to keep going and to keep fighting. As a hearing person, it's not my platform, but I really feel it's important to be aware, so that my contribution, especially at the work that we're doing at GFT, meets what people deserve, actually, as a human being, and their right to access entertainment, and their right to access experiences, cultural experiences. I feel I'm quite an impatient person, so I know that things take a lot of time, but I'm also aware that I feel that, you know, and tell me if I'm wrong, from a government perspective, even though we've had the 2020 year that we've had and it's all gone a wee bit crazy, it still feels like I want to understand what's been happening, you know, because I feel that 5 years is a long time. And for BSL speakers, especially in Scotland, I'd like to hope that there has been movement and development happening. But I'll be honest, from the outside perspective, I'm not quite sure exactly how the journey has kind of happened so far.
Yeah, you're not the only one, Jodie. There were people who have said that they're not sure what's happening, not sure there's clear communication. Other people have said, okay, there have been slight improvements. Other people have said there's been quite emergent improvements, and everyone has a different perspective on it. But I know there's a lot of contact, and the Contact Scotland BSL certainly is the main improvement, the largest improvement, if you like, where deaf people, BSL users, can phone 24/7. There used to be a reduced service, and it was open only till at 12 o'clock in the evening and a limited number of time. And now people, gradually that's opened now. People can phone, they can phone the cinema and book tickets, for example. They can phone any person in Scotland. So that's encouraging independence, certainly, isn't it? So, so now, looking to the future, maybe in 5 years or 10 years down the line, what's the one thing that you hope to see next, Jodie?
Oh, some good questions, Derek. What would I hope to see next? I feel that what I'd like to see next is a very transparent commitment that is especially platformed through the government of BSL communication being being a kind of a harmony with any form of communication that is screened to us on TV. You know, I've been watching the daily briefings for coronavirus and been very pleased to see British Sign Language incorporated as it should be. And so that just makes me hungry for more. I want to see this, you know, so much more visible, because it's not just an add-on. This needs to be seen as an integral cog in that machine going forward. So for me, visibility and more consistent visibility would be wanted.
Well, for me, I'm hungry for GFT to be back, to see the visibility cinema and obviously engaging, and see films that I've never seen before. Old films. I know that you have guest speakers, and it's a fantastic event, usually always in BSL, fully accessible. So I'm hoping that perhaps next year we can have that back after the coronavirus situation improves. Yeah. Okay, so now, if you had a magic wand, Jodie, okay, what's the one thing that you can do every day to ensure that BSL users are included in society as equal citizens?
I have taken my level 1 British Sign Language, which I know is very tiny, but it's definitely more than
absolutely great. Yeah.
So in that way, I feel that it's my duty every day to, you know, if I'm just as a citizen, you know, in my city, making sure that, you know, there's no longer a barrier there to communicate with someone should they want to have a chat or just if they're in need. So that's, I suppose, a more personal part. But I think aside from sign language as a communication, I also think that it's really important for me to remember, and again, this feeds into my work, which is, you know, as a member of a staff team that are incredibly conscious of the need and the rights of all people to enjoy a cinema experience, that I and we together need to be, as you say, Derek, really looking forwards to the time when we can bring back visible cinema. And again, with the surveys that we've had out for the past month, get that data, get that research, and really feed that into, you know, what visible cinema looks like going forwards.
Fantastic. I hope GFT can be back and running as normal and a lot of people attending, because I know that, you know, certainly in Glasgow, we're not allowed to go outside, you know, we're not allowed to Edinburgh, you're not allowed to travel, we're not allowed to do that at the moment. So that's fine. So it'll be great when that all happens again. And Jodie, thank you very much for your participation today, for all your comments and feedback and your support. And I hope we can continue to work together as organisations very soon. And also thank you, Jackie, for translating for us today.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie.
You.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you.